Hi there guys, my name's Tom Quayle. Welcome back to the Solo YouTube channel. Hope everybody's doing very well indeed. Now, if you didn't know, this is the official YouTube channel for my app Solo, which I designed in conjunction with my very good buddy David Beebee. And this channel is all about uploading lesson content every week and lots of other content as well, to do with helping you to get the most out of the app and also just generally help you get the most out of your practice time and guitar in general. So if you're a fan of guitar, or if you want to know how to get more out of this app that we've created, definitely hit the like and subscribe button, and of course hit that bell notification icon to make sure you never miss any more content again. Now, today's lesson is actually addressing something, or a query I should say, that we get a great deal since we launched Solo in January 2021, which is why are there no note names in there other than the root note of a chord or a scale? If you've used Solo, you're probably aware that it shows you a chord symbol, so like a G minor 7 or a B flat major 7 sharp 11, whatever the chord is, or if you're in the scale trainer, a particular scale, so G Dorian or F sharp melodic minor, for example, whichever scale you're going to use. And then underneath it shows you a series of numbers. Now we call these numbers intervallic functions. Now if you're not sure what intervallic functions are, which would be understandable, then make sure you check out the video that I've linked below, and you'll see it above my head right now, because that video is going to explain to you all about intervallic functions, what they are and why we use them in the app. For this video, if you haven't seen that, make sure you pause this video and go and watch that now. But for this video, I want to explain why we don't use note names. Okay, so hopefully now you've watched the intervallic functions video, you have some understanding of what they are and why we use them. But in this video, I want to address this question as to why there's no note names in there, because as I say, we get this quite a lot. Now, Solo is designed around a massive strength of the guitar in particular, because David and I are both guitar players, and we don't really dabble too much in any other instruments. So this is our main focus. The guitar is probably the most visual instrument that you can play. In fact, any stringed and fretted instruments are the most visual instruments, that you can actually find. And that is because they are primarily taught through shape-based teaching. So any guitar player will be very familiar with the concept of learning shapes on the instrument in order to play chords, scales, arpeggios, whatever it is that you're going to try and play on your instrument. Now, this is taught from day one, so let's go back to the real basics of guitar. So apologies if you're a more advanced player or if you want to just move on to the kind of really exciting stuff, but let's start out with something really basic. When you first start learning chords on the guitar, you don't learn them by the note names that are in those chords. So unlike on a piano, where you might learn that a C major triad literally contains the notes C, E, and G, and you locate those notes, you're taught where those notes are, and you play those notes by their note name. That is not what happens on the guitar. What happens with the guitar is we put that music theory to one side, i.e. the note names, and we show people a generic shape. So in this case, this C shape, and we literally call it a C major shape. The same thing would happen with an E major shape or an A major shape, an A minor shape. You guys will know all of these chords, D major. The really amazing thing about the guitar is once you've learnt those shapes and not concerned yourself with what notes are in those shapes yet, of course. So I know that this E major shape contains an E, a G sharp and a B. That's the root, the third and the fifth of the chord. It's just common standard stuff. If you've learnt some music theory, you will know that. What I can do is I can start moving these around, these shapes, to play every other possible major or minor chord, or, if it's a major 7 chord, I can do the same thing. The shapes on the guitar are transposable and movable in a way that you cannot do on any other instrument, be that a monophonic instrument, where you're playing just single note scales or arpeggios, or a polyphonic instrument like piano, for instance, or a harp. You cannot do this with any other type of instrument. Let me demonstrate. So you guys will all be familiar with this. Here is my E major chord. There's a very specific reason why I'm using this fingering, because I'm going to replace the nut of the guitar with my first finger, and of course we get bar chords. So this will be, instead of E major, it's exactly the same shape, albeit I've now replaced the nut with my first finger, and I have F major, F sharp major, G major, G sharp or A flat major, so on and so forth. So I can take this same shape and move it around, and I don't need to know what notes are in this chord to be able to play it. The only note I need to keep track of is the root note. And most guitar players, in fact probably all guitar players, do this by locating the fret that their first finger is on the E string, or if it's an A chord or an A minor chord, on the A string. Same thing with the C chord. You locate the root note on one of the lowest two strings, and that's how you locate the chord. But at no point when you're doing that are you worrying about what the other notes in the chord are. You're not locating the shape or the notes of the chord by their note name. You're locating them by the generic shape. Okay, so what goes for chords goes for scales and arpeggios. So you can do the same thing with a major scale. So if I take C major and use this fingering, so I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That's the fingering. Did you notice what I did with the numbers? I used a generic name for each of them. Now, if you watch the intervallic functions video for solo, you'll understand what that's all about. This is the note C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And on the guitar, you can think of it as being major, designated major by its shape, the shape that we're playing. So we locate the root note C, and then we play this shape. Some people call it a fingering. We play this fingering. And again, just like our movable bar chords, wherever we play this shape, let's say from here, this is an E. Again, it's probably basic information for you guys. If it's not, this is good. We've got an E major now. We play exactly the same shape, and I don't need to know what all these other notes are. I can just play the shape and I get an E major scale. Now, massive caveat before anybody goes writing comments in the comments section below like, you should know your note names. You have to know your note names. It's really important. Of course it's really important. You should know, for any given scale, the notes that are in that scale. There's a massive difference, though, what I'm saying here and the statement I just made, that you should know the notes on the fretboard. You have to know the notes on the fretboard to do this system. But you don't need to, on the guitar, know all the notes in every single scale in real time whilst you're improvising or playing, jamming, whatever it is on the guitar. Solo is more about improvisation. It's in that improvisation vein, finding and mapping out the fretboard. Now, you don't have to do it in real time with solo. The idea is that you get gradually faster and faster and faster. Solo doesn't give you any time-based pressure. It's not clicking in the background or playing a backing track. So you get time to figure out where these things are. But the idea is if you do enough of it, you practice and get fast enough that you can do it in real time. The guitar is most efficiently visualized, let me say that again, it's most efficiently visualized by thinking in these generic shapes, okay? So, thinking of the shape of a major scale. This is another shape of a major scale. We can learn multiple shapes. So, some people know that as a 3-note per string scale. You can learn the cage system, so on and so forth. Here is this shape for C major. There's my C. Let's play F major. I can move this up to here now. F. I don't need to know that this is F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. You should be able to figure that out, to communicate with other musicians, just for the sheer fact that you should have some pride in knowledge and just know what those notes are. Say you're writing something out or communicating with a piano player. A piano player is not going to be communicated with by saying 10th fret on the D string. You need to know what that note is to communicate with other musicians. But in the heat of battle, in the moment that you're improvising, especially if you're playing over chord changes, on this wonderful instrument, you don't need to retain that information in real time in your head. You just need to be able to play the shape. Now, caveat number 2. Most guitar players come unstuck by these shapes because what they do is they learn big chunks of information. So they'll learn how to play a scale or a chord with a large shape that covers 6 strings or 5 strings or whatever. And this is where guitar players run into problems where they will learn multiple shapes for things. So like 5 shapes of a minor pentatonic, you know, this. And then they'll move. Learning multiple shapes for the same scale. You might have 3-note per string scales or 5 positions of pentatonic or the cage system. This is where these systems occur. They're great. Nothing wrong with them at all. Solo is trying to get you to do something different with its numbers. What solo is trying to do is get you to practice the smallest shape, divisible shape possible for each harmonic scenario that you'll find yourself in. That's what these intervallic functions are. okay? So let me give you an example. If I go into solo here, finally using the app, what I've got is the changes playing trainer here. I'm plugged in via an audio interface so I can speak at the same time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select this level, if I scroll down, root and third. Okay, so it's going to ask me over a given chord sequence to play the root and the third, the intervallic functions of root and 3, over each of the chords that come up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to chord changes here, and I'm going to select one of the inbuilt exercises, which is major 7 chords in all 12 keys. And this is to highlight something really important about these basic building blocks of harmony, these basic intervallic function building blocks. Okay, I'm going to start the changes trainer workout here, and it's going to give me all 12 major 7 chords, and it's going to ask me to play 1 root and 3. Well, the 1 is the named note, the root A in this case. Now I can find that wherever I want to on the guitar, and this shows you must know your note names on the guitar. Pretty much every single video we've done on this channel, all the videos that are in the tutorial section of the app, which come free with the app, we talk about this. You must know your note names. Okay, it's not as simple as just saying, yeah, here's a generic system. You don't need to know any note names. You do, of course, need to know where A is in this instance, or G, whatever is coming up next. It's asking for a D after this one. So I'm going to find A here at the 7th fret of the D string. Okay, I'm going to play it, and solo's going to recognize it, and it's going to turn grey. There we go, fantastic. It's then asking for the 3. Well, I happen to know that the 3 against a root note ascending on the next string, the adjacent string, looks like this. I'm going to roll my volume down so I don't play it by mistake. There's the root note 1, and there's the 3. Now, the thing is, this is A and C sharp, and that's specific to A major 7, or anything with a root and a third from A, okay, or root and a major third from A. But the shape is generic, okay? It doesn't matter what the root note of the chord is. Wherever I find that root note, I can find the 3 by using this shape ascending from the root note. So 1, if I play this with my volume rolled up, solo's going to recognize it as the 3. Now here's the cool bit. It's now asking for D major 7, so I'm going to find a D. I'm going to find that at the 12th fret of the, in fact I'm going to play it here at the 5th fret of the A string. Okay, now if I play the D, solo's going to recognize it, then it's asking for the 3rd. Now the thing is, the 3rd of A was C sharp, that's specific. The 3rd of D is F sharp, that's specific and different to the 3rd of A. So I have to recall that specific different piece of information. But the shape is identical. Look, here's A and C sharp. Here's D and F sharp. The shape on the guitar, because of this wonderful visual nature of this stringed instrument, is the same. So I can use the same shape from D, and look, it's correct. Here's G, use the same shape, 1 and 3. I don't need to know that this is a B. It's good if I do. It's like big bonus points if I know that. But I don't need to think about that while I'm finding these notes, especially in a real-time heat of battle improvisation moment. Here's C, 1, 3. 1, 3. Again, using exactly the same shape. 1, 3. And this is why we don't use note names within solo. We're getting you to practice on the guitar or the bass this generic way of finding intervallic functions, or finding the harmony of a particular chord or scale. If I make this slightly more complicated and I select one of the tunes, say All the Things You Are, now a solo is going to give you some different chord types, but it's going to map out the relevant intervallic functions. So this is an F minor 7 chord, and it's asking for a 1 and a flat 3 in this case. 1, there's F. Well, if that was 3, this must be flat 3. I don't need to know that it's an A flat. I don't need to think about that. Bonus points if I know that, but I don't need to retain it in real time. Just like if I want to play a G major bar chord, I just play the shape from G. I don't need to worry about the fact that this is a D, this is a G, this is a B, this is a D, this is a G. If I know that, awesome. I don't need to think about that when I'm playing this in a function band. I just play the relevant shape, okay? This is a much more detailed version of that. We're learning the smallest possible piece of information in order to be able to map harmony out on the fretboard. Now the cool thing is, we can do different levels here. We could select, say, root 3rd and 5th and work on a couple of different intervallic functions. So we could say, okay, well, I want to find the 1, the flat 3, and the 5. See that shape I just played? I can do it from B flat now. Okay, now 1, there's our 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. These are all ascending at this point. Maybe I could do them descending. 1, there's my 3, 5. And I'm not doing these by note name. I'm not thinking any note names except the root note. I'm finding them by their shape in relation to the root note. Where are they in relation physically on the guitar to the root note? Because that is generic. That never changes. A 3 is always the same distance visually. It looks the same, ascending or descending in 1 octave from any root note on the fretboard. The only thing you have to watch is the tuning of the guitar, because the B string messes up some of the shapes. But what's really cool is if you come into the tutorials section here, you'll find this Intervallic Functions PDF sheet, okay? And it gives you all of the different shapes that you can play. And you can zoom in on these, have a look at them, so on and so forth. And that will give you all of the different intervallic functions within 1 octave ascending and descending that you can play. That comes free with the app. And then you could even get more complex. So to show you that you can build any harmonic structure from these intervallic functions if you know what they look like on the guitar. Let's say you do the chord scale. So this is the scale for any given chord, the full 7-note scale. I've learned what all of these intervallic functions look like on the guitar generically against any given root note. So now I can see 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. I didn't think any note names then except for the F. Here's 1, B flat, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. You can jump around if you want to, so long as you know where they are. This gives you the most efficient way to think about the guitar. When I'm improvising on the guitar, no matter what I'm playing, I'm always thinking about these intervallic functions. I'm only keeping track of the root notes that I'm playing over. So if I'm playing over a 2-5-1 in the key of C, so D minor 7 to G7 to C major 7, I'm just keeping track of those root notes plus the intervallic functions generically, the shape of them that I need to play. So I might play, hopefully you could hear the harmony. So this is a really, really powerful way of thinking. Okay, it's the way that David and I think, and we've taught hundreds of students to do this. And we found that people can learn the fretboard in fairly rapid time doing this. And it's not a shortcut. You've still got to know all the notes on the fretboard in order to be able to locate these different shapes. But that is why we don't use note names within solo, because we're trying to encourage you to think in this super efficient generic way. Now, if you're a non-guitar player, let's say you're a piano player or a sax player or a singer even, solo is still really powerful for you because you do have to keep track of these note names, but you also have to keep track of what these note names are functionally in relation to the chord or scale that you're playing over. So your job is to think, okay, I need the third of this particular chord. What note name is it? You as a piano player or a sax player or a singer or whatever, you have to, a trumpet player, whatever you're doing, a horn player, you have to think about the note name. If solo just gave you the note name, you would just play all the note names. By doing that conversion process of, okay, here is, in this case, I've got F minor 7 and it wants the 1, the 2, the flat 3, the 4, the 5, the flat 6, the flat 7 and the 1. This is a complex example for more advanced players. But, you know, you have to figure out what the 2 is. Okay, the 2 is G. You have to figure out what the flat 3 is. Okay, that's A flat, and play it on your instrument. Guitar players, you have a superpower. You do not need to do any of that. You know, be able to do it. Make sure you can do it, but you don't need to be able to do it in real time. This instrument is so phenomenal for visualizing and finding, you know, scales, chords, arpeggios all over the fretboard, all over the instrument, without needing to know the specifics in real time immediately of what notes are in a scale or a chord, so on and so forth. Again, before you get hateful in the comments, you should be able to do that. You should know that stuff. I implore you to know that stuff, but you don't need to clutter your thought process with it in real time whilst improvising. Use the benefits of the visualization or the visual nature of the guitar to help you improvise over complex chord changes or simple chord changes in real time, utilizing kind of the nature of the instrument. You might as well use it to your benefit as opposed to fighting against it because you feel you should be thinking in note names. You don't need to, guys. Trust me, this works really, really well. All right, so I hope that was useful. Of course, let us know your thoughts and comments in the comments section below, I should say. And you can contact us a few different ways. You can either leave your thoughts, as I say, feedback in the comments section below, any ideas you've got for the app, anything you would like to be added, or just, as I say, your thoughts in general. Or of course, you can contact us using our email address. You'll find it in the app. If you tap the settings here, you'll find all of our contact details, and you can contact us there, or you can find the contact details in the description of the video below. Just click on that, you'll be able to email us. All right, guys, hope you found that useful and enjoyed that. Good luck with solo. Good luck with your practice if you're not using solo. Hopefully you guys will check it out. We are still working on that much anticipated Android version. We'll get it to you as soon as we can. My name's Tom Quayle. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.